Grab a cup of coffee and start your day with Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life features stories to inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Visit CYACYL.com.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. You're listening to us coast to coast and around the world. Thanks for tuning in. This year, Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life celebrates 4 years on the air. 4 years of bringing you interviews with some of the most inspirational and influential people in the world. And today we have another great show for you. Joining me today are George and Sedena Cappannelli, authors of the book, Do Not Go Quietly, A Guide to Living Consciously and Aging Wisely for People Who Weren't Born Yesterday. George and Sedena are here to offer valuable life strategies, practical tools, and inspiring information to help you create the life you want and a meaningful legacy. George and Sedena are authors, speakers, and co-founders of Age Nation and the Age of Empowerment. George and Sedena have appeared on television and radio programs, and they're the hosts of the radio show Talk About Your Life. Together, they've written 2 previous books, Say Yes to Change, 25 Keys to Making Change Work for You, and Authenticity, A Guide to Greater Meaning and Purpose at Work and Home. Welcome, George and Sedena. Thanks for joining us today.
Nice to be with you, Joan.
Nice to be with you, Joan. Thank you.
George and Sedena, Do Not Go Quietly. I love the title of your book. I just turned 50, and believe me, I have no intention of living the next part of my life quietly. I know that there are many great things to come. I believe that, like a fine wine, we get better with age, and I think that I'm wiser and more confident now than I've ever been. So I love your title, and I'm so glad that you're here today to share this important message.
Oh, we're thrilled to be here. Thank you, and happy birthday.
Well, thank you. And it's funny because I believe everything. I don't buy into ageism, but I'll tell you, when that ARP card shows up in the mail, it's a little bit of an awakening. But our limiting beliefs about aging, they really hold us back. And sometimes society, we're not one that cherishes elderly or sees the wisdom that they have to offer. So there are a lot of people that buy into that negative ageism. What do you feel we need to do to eliminate these negative beliefs about aging? And Sedena, let's start with you.
Okay, well, I agree with you that we come from a society that really touts youth and really disregards those of us who are aging. We're taught to resist aging and all the physical signs, push down our feelings, and try to fix ourselves, make ourselves into younger versions of who we are, rather than seeing the beauty of who we are. And that's no wonder we come to reject ourselves, because the beauty of the present, where we are right now, is so amazing. We have all the gifts and talents that we've garnered to this point, and so much to give. I believe that this is a time of life. We believe, we took the title, Do Not Go Quietly, because what we're saying is this is a clarion call. This is a time of motivation to be the very best you can be for the rest of your life. And we start, it can start with one simple gesture and just a change of attitude, just a higher perspective, that we've gotten to the top of this mountain, and here we are now. We're not down in the valley anymore. We're up here. We have a high perspective. We have an overview of life that we never had before, and the access to incredible gifts and talents. And that's what Do Not Go Quietly, the book, shares, along with many other things that George can fill you in on, too.
I recently had the opportunity to interview a woman by the name of Diane Gilman. I don't know if you know who she is, but she is on Home Shopping Network, and she created the DG2 brand of jeans. And she was, back in the 70s, she was a real fashion it girl. And then later on, when she was 50, she was widowed and overweight and depressed and unemployed. And she had come up with an idea for jeans. And she had gone out to the major fashion players and was told by people that no one wants a pair of jeans for middle-aged fat chicks. And she said, well, I do. And she spent most of her 50s trying to pitch this idea. And at age 60, she created this brand, and she's on Home Shopping Network. Now she has sold more than 7 million pairs of jeans and leggings, and she totally has created a life, she said, that's more joyful and more than she could ever have imagined. So, George, when we say it's never too late, I mean, I started this work at age 46. So, George, when we say it's never too late, what do you say to those naysayers that say you're crazy?
Well, the first thing we say is to open your eyes and look at reality. Stop buying some of the illusions and myths. When you talk about the people who first told that gal that nobody was interested in those kinds of jeans, it was probably somebody 14 going on 12 and a half who made that decision. And the truth of the matter is, companies today are waking up to the reality that people who are in the second half of life, and that includes older Gen Xers and boomers as well as elders, we represent almost $2 trillion of annual spending power. We tend to be more loyal to brands. We tend to have greater discernment. We tend to, we're people who make a difference, and we're people of influence. So if you stop looking at the illusion and you start looking at the reality, what you realize is that throughout history, many of the people we study and revere and celebrate are people who did not accomplish their greatest achievements until they were in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, some of them in their 90s. And throughout Do Not Go Quietly, we identify these people in a section called Life Achievements. And we're constantly reminding people that the illusion is that youth is eternal. The reality is that life has all kinds of different segments and periods, and each one has stuff of extraordinary value in it.
George, you just mentioned illusion and the difference between knowing and believing. And what are the 3 illusions that you believe impact our lives and keep us from living in the present moment?
Control is the first one, the belief that we actually control things when most of the functions that keep us alive are automatic, and it's a good thing because, as we point out, most of us would forget to breathe or eliminate or, do any of the natural functions that keep us alive. So control is one, safety is another, and security is a third. Those are 3 great illusions around which the media and a variety of other belief systems create a great deal of fear. So we're not really in control, and if people think about it, most of the extraordinary things that happen in our lives happen coincidentally, accidentally, in a variety of ways.
Spontaneously.
It's different. It is spontaneous in many ways. Secure, what is security? Whatever we have, physical possessions, protections, whatever, they can be taken away in an instant, as many people learned during this last economic crisis when life savings and stock accounts and real estate holdings and whatnot dramatically decreased in value. So you can't put your faith in those things because they're not secure. They're shifting and whatnot. And in terms of safety, safety is an illusion, Helen Keller, there's a great quote by Helen Keller that says that security is an illusion, that it doesn't exist in nature. And to try to somehow or another live it or grab hold of it is a terrible waste of time. Better to surrender and go with the flow of our lives than to cling tenaciously. That's what makes us old. That's what makes us afraid.
In your book, you have a quote from a hospice counselor. I've discovered that as we age, we don't become more like others. We become more like ourselves. And for me, that is such a relevant quote because I think I've spent most of my life conforming to expectations of other people, trying to be someone that I wasn't. And we're talking about aging, but this is something that I think is important for someone of any age. So, Sedena, why do you think we spend so much time conforming to what others want of us rather than who we really are?
Well, I think a lot of that is a seduction by the media. We're domesticated in a way. Don Miguel Ruiz talks about domestication, and I think that we've been trained like an animal, like a dog, to think that these are the values that matter. And we think productivity is what really counts, and we're all babies of the Industrial Revolution. And if we're not being productive, then it's not a good thing. So it really isn't any wonder that we lose we reject really who we are and accepting the beauty of the present of who we are, because we're constantly told that it's, like George said, it's something else. It's a myth of youth that we've been really spoon-fed throughout our lives. And it's wonderful to celebrate the young and valuable gifts of the young. But I think when we see that that's not the only life cycle that's worth celebrating, then suddenly we see ourselves as spiritual beings having a physical experience. And who am I? What did I come here for? What is my essential dream? What did I come to this planet to do, to share? Because each one of us, we believe, has an individual song to sing, to make the big, great song of life really, really a symphony. And without our note, without our song, it isn't going to be the same. So I think getting away from all of that peripheral noise and coming into the silence occasionally, because we live in a world of tremendous noise, recenter and reset the rhythm of our mind, our body, and our spirit, we can come into the wisdom of who we really are. We can really know who we are. And so we have a lot of tools in our book, Do Not Go Quietly, that really guide people to finding out who is that one person. Mary Oliver asked, what is it you will do with the one wild, precious thing called your life? And that can be starting at any age. I just turned 65, and it's the best time of my life.
And I think on that note, we're going to take a break for this week's Good Life Tips. Stay with us for information to help you make the positive life changes that we talk about on the show. When we return, I will continue my discussion with George and Sedena Cappannelli. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Our guests today are George and Sedena Cappannelli, authors of the book Do Not Go Quietly, A Guide to Living Consciously and Aging Wisely for People Who Weren't Born Yesterday. George and Sedena, before break, we were talking about the importance of self-evaluation and really trying to figure out what our purpose is in life. And once we get a sense for where it is we want to go or what our purpose or our direction may be, how can we pull this all together? What are some of the strategies that we can implement to get through the transitional period and to take us through the next chapter? George, let's start with you.
Well, first of all, I think that following one's destiny is like unraveling a string. You know how when you have a knitted sweater, if you pull the string too much, the sleeve or the neck starts to unravel, and it actually you can follow that string to its original point of focus. And life is like that. Just because we have a dream or a destiny doesn't mean that it's perfectly clear to us what every twist and turn on the road is going to be. And many times that's what prevents people from following their dream. They're looking for a sure thing. Mm-hmm. And in some ways, following one's dream is a sure thing, but it also takes sweat equity and time and courage and focus. We're going to trip and stumble along the way, but if we're connected to our dream, then that's the motivation. The motivation is that we know that it's our path. Sometimes we meet obstacles and challenges that seem insurmountable, but if we follow it a step at a time, and we exercise courage, and we exercise patience, and we exercise commitment, then everyone who's listening will become an overnight success, like all of the people out there who we celebrate, and then realize that they've been on the path for 5 years or 10 years or 20 years, and they've been doing it with diligence and love because it's theirs to do. So courage, commitment, willingness, the ability to follow a step at a time, perseverance, and the recognition that you're living your own life.
Sedena?
You know, one of those tools, Joan, that to follow up with that can help us find that purpose and aliveness at this time of life is, the answer to staying young isn't really in facelifts or rounds of golf, but in tapping into resources that we already have to recapture those characteristics that were given to us as our birthright. Rumi said, let the beauty of what you love be what you do. So a big clue is, what did you love to do when you were a child? What turned you on? What brought you great joy? Those are the things that will be a clue to what your purpose may be now, because like George said, you may have had to give that up to have children or a career or whatever. And now it's time to have that flexibility and humor and laughter and optimism and exploration, and look at those things in your life that brought you this joy. So we have, again, processes in the book that guide people. In fact, every chapter has a life rule, which is one of hundreds of quotes in the book, a life achievement, which is a great inspirational fact about someone in the second half of life who's done incredible things as they've aged. And then we have a life tool that integrates the whole chapter, and again, it gives you questions and answers, and it's just really a one-on-one for you. So they're all inspirational ways to tackle this.
Tell us about Age Nation and the Age of Empowerment. What are your goals and missions through those organizations?
Create an age-friendly world. Help us remember how to honor and incorporate the wisdom of elders, because, frankly, every society throughout history that has honored its elders have endured and survived, and every culture throughout history that has disregarded and avoided the wisdom of their elders has imploded. So we believe we are at a tipping point today here in America. There are so many voices that are trying to marginalize elders, and so Age Nation is about reminding people of all the value and the importance. It invites, encourages, inspires, provides solutions via the web, radio, podcasts, live events, online conferences, a national digital magazine, and just a whole lot more that's coming down the pipe to help people remember who they are and to re-engage. Because frankly, Joan, if those of us who are older Gen Xers, boomers, and elders don't take our rightful place, don't reclaim it in our world, our future is going to be determined by people who are half our age, have half our experience, and too many times half our intelligence. And we will then be the victims of a world that they create instead of equal participants in a world that we create. So that's what Age Nation does. The Age of Empowerment is a nonprofit that focuses on similar objectives. It just does it in some different ways, and it helps to support organizations that serve vulnerable elders.
The book is Do Not Go Quietly by George and Sedena Cappannelli. Sedena, if our listeners would like more information, where can they go?
Well, they can go to the book site, which is donotgoquietlythebook.com. And you can go to agenation.com, and we also really encourage you to go to agenation.com. And as George was talking about, this is a place for all of us to jump on board. It's a hub for people in the second half of life, so you won't feel alone out there when certain things happen inevitably as we grow older. So please come on board and like us on Facebook and get involved with Age Nation.
And as always, our listeners can visit our website, cyacyl.com. That stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While on our site, listen to past shows as podcasts, read the digital magazine, sign up for our mailing list, take part in the book club, and be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Twitter. George and Sedena, thank you so much for spending time with us today. I have to tell you, reading your bio, when do the two of you sleep? My goodness, you have so much going on, and it's just amazing, all of your work. So Thank you for spending time and being here with us. I think it's a very important message, especially now that I'm 50.
Thanks.
You bet. Okay.
Thanks for your terrific support. Bless.
Thank you for all your good work. We really appreciate the interview.
Well, thank you.
Blessings to you and everyone listening.
This is Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.